Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the BTB Movie Club podcast. My name is Ryan Malo. We hope you enjoyed today's movie discussion. Thanks for listening.
Welcome to the BTB Movie Club. We are here with Mike Whildin's pick, Parasite. We're on the rewatchables, so I don't even know if we should give this a number, but check the title in the podcast, people. We're here to talk about Parasite, and we'll title it somehow creatively soon. We have watched this before. We have discussed it before. Mike Whildin was not here, and so he picked it as something he had wanted to see anyway. Malo, did you have this discussion with us about Parasite?
Fairly certain, yes.
You did? Okay. So this is great. Mike Whildin, the show is yours. Let's talk Parasite.
All right. Well, the problem this week is I'm using my phone because I'm at my parents and I've been watching The Penguin with my mom, and I realized about 30 minutes ago that, oh, hey, movie group tonight. So I don't have the wheel.
Oh no.
I thought you were gonna fucking say you didn't watch.
He didn't
the movie.
watch the movie.
I'm fucking leaving now. I'm done.
I don't have the wheel, which is the fun part.
I was with you, Brian. I thought that's where he was going. 100%.
I've never done before and said, yeah, I didn't watch it, so I understand that. All right. Well, Malo, let's hear from you first. Let's just go there. I'm just gonna kind of go off the top of my head, I guess.
All right. So this was at least my third viewing, maybe four, and I had some other things I was going to take care of this weekend. So the first thought in my head was, all right, I've seen this before. I know pretty much. I'll just, check in. And I'll do some other things while I'm watching this. And then I remembered I don't speak Korean. Mm-hmm. And I had to read a lot. So that was out the window. I did focus fully on the film. So then I was, okay, let me see what else I can discover or find. And there were some things that I don't think I noticed before or paid attention to as closely. The one part, I'm trying to think of who was talking to who at this part. I think it was the son or brother. If Jessica is a rose, then you are. And he wrote something down. Oh, that was to the daughter he was tutoring, right? Because she thought that he had a crush on her or whatever. And he wrote something down. And I don't think we ever find out what that, unless I missed it.
But she smiled.
So there was that part, right?
Yep.
Okay. When Mr. Park and the dad, the driver, I can't think of his name off the top of my head, were driving, and he was talking about the former housekeeper, and she ate enough for two. Mm-hmm. I didn't notice that the first couple times. Definitely noticed that this time. Thought that was interesting. Also, just weird, like when the former housekeeper came to take care of her husband, who was in the underground area, she brought him a baby bottle. That was strange and disturbing, which again, I wrote this, I know I wrote this last time. Again, a very disturbing banana eating. I know I wrote that last time. Speaking of like little things that I wasn't quite sure of or overlooked previously, when she comes down in that scene to give him that baby bottle, he asks what happened to her face. And it's like she's got a mark. I'll tell you later. I don't know if it's a deleted scene or if I missed something, but I don't know that we ever got the answer to that. I think. Oh, go ahead.
Do you mind if I
please.
Well, he loaned money he got money from loan sharks. So I think she got beat up by the loan sharks. That was where I went with it.
That would make sense.
That's a good point.
Yeah. Yeah, they talked about it, but that would make sense. So I think the rest of it, well, at one point I put, is the other dude's wife still down there? And then I put, never mind, because then right away they get that closure on him burying her. The rest of it is all kind of the third section of the movie where it's, after the craziness. And it's weird, like it goes from following this sequence of events to what are we supposed to believe? Um, so I wrote, that's a lot of blood. Like he hit him with the rock, and which obviously has its own symbolism. It's supposed to be this, symbol of fortune and that, but not the case. But then it goes through like his surgery and uncontrollable laughing and the sentencing, which if they're getting sentenced, they never show consequences from that. Like, did they serve?
they
I don't know.
They had
I
parole.
think
They got probation.
parole.
Probation.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. But then he was supposedly okay later and able to distinguish and eventually able to, in theory, do well enough to buy the home. Like, I think that's a whole deviation, right? Yeah, Tim shaking his head, and so
That's not reality. Right.
right. And it's a weird twist that they did that. And so where do you find that line? I think I know, but it's just interesting that they did that. And then the I don't know, the old English teacher in me, the house as a character, I thought was kind of interesting, just because that was a constant through all these different, whether real, or, the previous owner to the parks to after that, and then even in the imaginary reality of that. But yeah, I was trying to think of like the central theme or like main takeaway, and um, and each group of people was kind of awful in their own way. Was something I kind of found. It was there was a lot of little lines this time around that I found pretty funny and consistent with it. There was something earlier, but especially when the family was in the house when the other family was on camping, and he grabs the diary, and the sister's like, "Oh, you're awful, you scumbag! How could you do that?" And she grabs it and immediately starts reading. And the mom is like, "Oh, I would be so nice if I was rich. I'd be even nicer." And then she shoves the dog, and like, just those little things that are kind of subtle, but you know, throughout the film. But yeah, so I don't, in going through an extra time, it was interesting to pick up on those little nuances.
Nice. Yeah, the ending threw me off too. I really enjoyed the ride that this movie, took me on. This is my first time watching it, but I kind of, I don't know if it was supposed to be like a dream or something. Like that was just like like he was daydreaming, like writing his dad, like, hey, this is what I'm gonna do someday, and he was just visualizing it because then it did come back to him, just sitting there in the sub basement. So I don't know if that was just an unobtained goal or like just I don't know. That was that did seem a little off. Did you have a favorite character or a favorite moment?
No, I mean, you kind of want to root for the son, I guess. He's the closest to maybe getting out or changing the course, but he's also kissing the high school girl, and that's not
Yeah.
great. I don't know. The one thing that I think I noticed this time, it was just I don't know if it counts as favorite moment or whatever, but like when they first showed the dad running away after the final incident, it looks like he goes into a doorway, which gets him back downstairs. And then when they recreate or they show it from a different angle or something like that, he goes in through the garage. And so I thought, again, the way the ending is like, you don't know exactly what to believe. I was trying to figure that out, but the news reporter was also saying that none of the CCTV cameras picked up anything else. Do we know?
She cut the wire. She
The
said
the old housekeeper cut the wire.
Right, but also just
For
through
that
the
one.
rest of the regular neighborhood. Like if he didn't go back in there,
Mhm.
like I was trying to figure out if he was even actually in there, or if that was just the son's
Oh,
mixed up thought about where he would be.
Oh
But
yeah.
because the news reporter said that they didn't see anything else, I guess that's where he was. I don't know.
When they showed him telling the story to his son through the Morse code, when they were kind of they showed him come down the stairs, he goes in the garage, then he comes up the stairs that the family came up when they came home. So I think he went through that and then got to the basement.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what it looked like. Yeah.
which
But as
nobody
far
would have
as-
seen on the camera. That
Because that
explains why you
camera
didn't
was
see him
clipped.
anywhere else. Right. And that's what
They
I
were
think.
both right next to each other. It looked like there was a weird door, like when it was live action, and then when he was telling the
I
story.
agree. When
And
they showed
because
him
it
do
was-
it, when he went down he went down the stairs. It looked like he went to a door. You're right. I thought that was weird too.
Yeah.
And because the
Last-
second version was from the kids, reading of a letter that he got from his dad, I couldn't. Anyway.
Yeah. The last thing I'll say is, yeah, that's a lot of blood. Kevin should absolutely be dead. Like when they showed that, I was kind of like, oh, well, maybe he makes it. And then they showed it. I was like, oh yeah, no, he's dead. And then he wasn't. I just that I was like, oh, okay, sure. But yeah, that was I with all of that chaos, I was very surprised that the sister was the only one that actually ended up dying. I mean, like I knew that obviously you knew she was dead, but like I thought everybody was going down, or maybe it was just going to be the mom or something like that. But man, I was not expecting as many survivors. All right, so I wrote people's names on pieces of paper here. I was going to shake them up.
Whildin without a wheel is still Whildin with a wheel.
In the spirit of being random here, I've gotten used to the wheel. What can I say, man?
While he's
Alrighty.
doing that, I'd like to hang on before you do that. That chaotic scene where they're leaving the party, there's some dark humor in this movie also, right? Like it's not just intense. There's some black comedy stuff. That girl carrying Kevin, who's been bludgeoned in the head, piggyback style through the backyard, is one of the funniest fucking things in a movie I've seen in quite some time. Like, she's just all about getting Kevin to the hospital, and it's fantastic for me.
He looked like you remember, and you teachers probably seen these the backpacks that were like stuffed animals. He looked like one of those on her back. Okay, way to go.
Yep.
All right. Who's that say on there?
Paper.
Oh, we can't tell.
Dan.
Danny P.
That's Dan.
Sneaky Dan.
all right. So I was really confused when I heard that this was the movie. I'm like, I could have swore we did this movie already. But I went ahead and watched it anyway. I thought maybe I just watched it myself and
Well, no, the theme for the next 3 weeks is people that are newer to the group are choosing a movie that we haven't seen that you guys already watched. Like, so the next
All
two are going to be like Aaron and Hilty are going to have picks that we've already watched before too.
Which
Okay.
we may or may not have talked about for at least a month now.
I appreciate you clearing that up for me, Mike, because the leader of this podcast did not make that clear.
Again,
Why is
I
he
think
the
we
fucking
talked
leader?
about that.
What is
for
it?
the
Wait.
last-
It's bust Tim's balls. Yep.
It's not a set of directions.
Okay. So this is this is a second movie of director Bong's that I've watched. Snowpiercer is the other movie of his that I watched, and it's also the same type of theme, like wealth, power, authority type theme. So I don't know if he, this is just what he does as a director, but yeah, love this movie. It's so good. It's a tale of two halves for me. The first half, it's kind of leisurely paced and a lot of humor in it, and then it gets a lot more serious in the second half. But the first half, I mean, with the fumigation thing, where they okay, leave the windows open so we can get some free fumigation.
Free
Just
fumigation. That's right.
stuff like that. Oh, it was so funny. But he does little things with the camera. When they're showing in their apartment, it's like a narrow camera to show how small the apartment is. And then when they're at the Parks house, it's like more like a wide angle, and you can see like the entire backyard, and it's like a big house and high ceiling. So I see him do that throughout the movie. And also the stairs, I noticed this time around. It's always stairs going down for the Kim family. They're going down into their, apartment underground there, and for the Park family, it's stairs going up into their home. So I noticed him doing that to, show the two different classes, the poverty and the wealthy.
Dan, I'm going to give up one of my things on my notes right here because this whole town seems to be on a giant ass hill where when you're the Parks, you live at the top of the hill. And if you have to get to the Kim's house without driving, apparently you have to walk down 1,000,000 steps to get to the bottom where everything floods and you're in garbage. Like, it's not even a subtle thing. It is top of the hill, bottom of the hill metaphor stuff for sure.
Right.
I totally agree with you on the stairs thing.
Yep. Yeah, and he also does that too when the Parks are on the couch and they're up above the Kims who are hiding underneath a table. He does that there also. I don't know why it's a Korean film, obviously. I don't know why they do the Native American. I don't know why the son is kind of obsessed with Native Americans. So I was a little interested that. Throw that out to you guys, see what you think about that.
That did seem to kind of come out of nowhere.
Well, I think it's like, back, not too long ago, a lot of the rest of the world, we were hated by a lot of places, but there's a lot of places that saw, America as the place to go, the place to be. I don't want to say the shining city on the hill or whatever, but even there, he was in Cub Scouts, which had to have led to Boy Scouts. So very American things that obviously had, through, trade and television and whatever else, they wanted to live like Americans. So I think that's where
They made a
Native
comment about the
American
tent. Did you guys catch that? Where they're like, "Oh, is
Yeah.
it going to leak?" And we're like, "No, it's made in
It's
America."
It doesn't leak.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Even though half our
yeah.
stuff was made in China,
Yeah.
So this might be a stretch, Dan, but my answer to that question goes with the same metaphor about the hill. Native Americans in America were not treated very well, particularly by people of wealth. And so it fits into the metaphor of the Parks are rich and they are offended by poor people not doing exactly what they want, and they just get rid of them when they don't do exactly what they want. I think that relation in America is what he's going for with rich people and poor people in this movie. Again, could be a stretch, but that's my interpretation of that.
Okay. All right. What else I go? Well, when they leave for their camping trip, I mean, it's that's when the movie things start to go off the rails for them. Why would they let the old housekeeper into the house in the first place? I'd be, hey, they're not home right now. Just come back when they're home.
That's what I was expecting. her to just be like, nope, fuck off, bye.
Yep. So yeah, that whole twist with him living in the basement, first time I watched this, I didn't see that coming. The other humor thing, when the four of them, they start fighting, it's 4 against 2, and the one lady runs away. I'm like, oh, where are you going? It's 4 against 2, and she grabs all the peaches out of the refrigerator and drops all the peaches on her head. That stuff. That's little things like that in this movie are really funny. But yeah, you can really see the Kim dad, losing it, after their night of hiding underneath the table and going back to their sewage feces filled apartment in the water. You could tell he's losing. He's like, why do I have to deal with this shit all the time? And he is not happy anymore about being the chauffeur for this guy. And right after he stabs him, you can see like all of a sudden it like pops, like, oh shit, what have I done? I got to get out of here. He like kind of comes back to reality. But yeah, really a lot of other things I can talk about in this movie, but yeah, really like this movie. Good rewatch. I'm not a fan of the subtitles. I like to look at the actors' faces as they're talking, but so I'd rather but like Melo said, I don't speak South Korean, so I had to watch subtitles. But really like this movie.
Good. I had the same thing. I was making a conscious effort during certain parts of this movie to like read real fast and then look up and actually watch them interact, and then I just kind of was like, I don't know, I just got tired. Yeah, I thought like when they're all hanging out, once they leave on the camping trip, it's like, all right, we've pulled it off, and it's almost like, oh, nothing can go wrong, and they're being fools and just not being careful with everything that they very carefully, scammed this family into gaining. And now that they have it, they're like, screw it, we don't have to be careful anymore, and they make several mistakes, but it's just that it doesn't take long before it's like, oh, and here's the housekeeper, and everything just goes nuts.
Even them talking about they're going to be moving into this house, eventually.
Yeah. When they're all hiding, when they get back from the camping trip early, was there anybody you thought was most likely to be caught when the first time you watched this?
Yeah, I thought that the father would be caught
because he smells.
Yeah, because just because of the smell. Yep. I mean, even while they're laying on the couch, they allude to that. She's like, oh, "What's that smell?"
He smells poor. You can smell poor.
Yeah, the subway poor. Yeah, people that ride the subway smell like that.
Like radishes.
Yeah,
but if you ask me, one other thing, if you're gonna ask me my favorite scene, it was when the guy comes up from the basement. The guy was living in the basement after he bashed Kevin in the head with the rock, and he's got blood all over his face, and he's carrying a knife, and he walks by, and the daughter comes downstairs completely oblivious, doesn't even notice him. I think that's the whole thing. The theme of this movie is, these rich people barely even notice these people that are beneath them. So I thought that was a great scene.
Yeah, good message. Speaking of that, I thought there was a brief moment where I thought Kevin was gonna get caught. That's the only name I remember. I guess the daughter is Jessica, wasn't it? The two English ass names. When the dog's under there and the rich daughter goes to ask the dog what's wrong, I was like, oh, there's no way he's getting out of this. She's gonna catch him. But then in my head, I also thought, but I don't know if that's gonna be that big a deal. What kind of made me think, oh, maybe she won't catch him is I don't know if it would be such a big deal to her, because she'd be like, oh, hi, Kevin. Like, she'd be all excited in that really weird way.
And then all of a sudden we were going to see a real uncomfortable scene.
Yes. That whole thing was very, very uncomfortable. And I mean, Melo, you said earlier, like maybe Kevin was the one you might feel sorry for in that family, but then he had the thing with the daughter, and that was the first thing that made me go like, ooh, no. But yeah. Anyway, all right. So
And his friend before that too, who set him up with the
yeah, that's right.
Min.
yeah, man.
Okay. All right, let's see.
Because he trusted him. He was the only one he trusted
Right.
to go in there.
Right.
So did it mention that she would be trying to get into college in 2 years? So is she like a junior, do we think?
They said she was a sophomore, but I mean, does that mean the same thing?
Yeah, I thought they had said in 2 years when she takes her college,
I think so.
Exams or whatever. But
I was trying to do years, and I had her at 16 and him at 19. That's just because of context where I was going, and they started kissing, and I was like, that's not right.
Yeah. Tim, go ahead and keep going with it.
All right.
we can't read those, just so you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I realize that.
It's nice that you keep putting it in front of the phone,
Yeah.
but
Yes,
it's
thanks
better
for
when you
doing
say
that.
the name.
Thanks for doing that in the audio podcast that we're recording.
Yeah. Well,
Great
I
visuals.
mean, I do the same
Mike
thing with the
Whildin is
wheel.
holding up little pieces of paper that we can't read that has
Yeah.
people's names on it.
Yeah, I do the same thing with the wheel. So hey,
That's true. That's true. Fair. Well, I've got a bunch. I'll try and be short. The brother's a putz. Kevin is a putz. I mean, that's the thing. I watched it this time and I was like, he's trying so hard to matter and be relevant, and he gets this one score that gets the whole family involved, and it's almost like because he got the one score, even though he didn't really do it, his friend did it for him. That was his sort of moment for the family. I noticed something this time that I didn't notice last time. I don't know if you guys saw it or recognized it, or I mean, maybe you guys are like, oh yeah, I saw that the first time. But for me, it was revolutionary and an epiphany. The pizza boxes, when they were folding them, the girl who looks like she's about 16 is just giving the family the business about not folding them correctly, right? And she says, I'm going to have to discount your pay because 25% of these look like this. You didn't fold it. There's a thing coming up. And then she goes out of her way to say 1 out of every 4 are rejects. And the rest of the family looked at the son. It's like, whoa.
I thought he looked at the dad.
I agree with Brian. Yeah.
Oh, I had them looking at the son. So maybe let's rewatch it again. And
No.
and
Funny thing, wait till you see my pick for tonight.
okay. This kid can't quite do anything right. His friend gets him the job, and through his friend, that's where he gets the family involved. The rock thing, I brought this up last time, I know, is this MacGuffin metaphor through the whole thing, right? Like it's supposed to bring this fortune to the family. And there's this one scene where the rock is in the background and somebody says, cheers to the food that we're having. Like they got paid and they're cooking food and they're having beers in the little apartment downstairs. And I thought I wrote it down and I don't want to waste time looking for it, but somebody says something like, cheers to us doing this thing and this coming from us doing this. And the rock is in the background and it's almost like they didn't give credit to the metaphorical rock. And immediately things start going badly. And then the kid having his college, like his sister makes the college papers, whatever those are.
You know what? I was gonna say when you're talking about Kevin being a putz, Jessica, the sister, does almost all of it. She's the most effective. I mean, she makes the college papers for him.
Right.
She gets in there on her own with the the interview
Right.
with the art thing. She's leaves the panties in the car for the dad and then does the peach stuff for the mom.
Yes.
Like he does it all. and
She's
she's
the
the only one
genius.
that dies. So like she's a genius, and she's doing the most work, and she's the one that pays the most, which is maybe also metaphorical. I don't.
Totally agree. Totally agree with that. Like, you can be the smartest and most effective of the family, but if you live at the bottom of the hill, you're not going to make it no matter what you do, right? Like, I think that's
Yeah.
But the whole thing falls apart when they're in that gym, they're in the homeless shelter, and he's there. He asks his dad, "What's your plan?" You were talking about a plan, and the dad was clearly just saying, "I have a plan to calm the kids down." And then he was like, "I'll figure it out later." Like, that's how I took that. But when the kid asked him, he's like, "I don't have a fucking plan. We're in a gym. Like, there is no plan. The best plan is to not have a plan." And the kid decides while hugging the rock, "I'll take care of it from now on." And you can see him crying. Well, then he decides on his own during that party to take that rock, open the door, and go down and kill the guy, and completely fucks it up, gets himself smashed in the head. And I like the fact that we don't know if he died or not. The movie suggests that he survived. I'm gonna give the movie the credit and say he survived it. And I'm gonna say he probably isn't able to do anything. His mother is probably fending for him, and all this talk about I'm gonna make a lot of money and do this, that's all ridiculous. But can't fold a pizza box, gets a job from his friend, fucks it up, starts kissing the girl, takes the rock and tries to kill a guy, screws that up. He's the putz that brings the family down.
Wasn't he the one also that slipped originally?
Yeah, he's the first one to fall down while they're watching.
Yeah.
So, and no matter what the conversation that comes around, he calls it metaphorical. It's so metaphorical, which I think is really funny. The art is metaphorical. And when he says it's a chimpanzee and she says, "No, it's a self-portrait," I laughed out loud.
That was good.
Again, I laughed out loud. I've got this in 3 acts. I have the first act, sort of, there's a setup, and it really starts with him getting into the house and making the move, like when he holds her wrist and says, "I feel your pulse," and the mom kind of steps back a little bit. Like, that's the moment where he sells them and he's in. So that sort of puts the first act in full force. The second one, I've got, what a great scene when the garage door is closing while the family's going away. It's like a long, slow garage door close with her just standing there looking appropriate. And you just know there's nothing appropriate going on here. Next thing you know, they're drunk in the middle of the living room and wrecking stuff. And then the third one I have is after the rain, when the family is waking up in the gym and the mother, Mrs. Park, is planning this party. You could not have two more polar opposite approaches to life. Like, they're going through used clothes to find a shirt to wear, and she's in this giant closet picking out off of these, just miraculous hangers which outfit to wear. And then she's like buying all this stuff and telling their friends, it's not formal, come up in PJs or sweatpants or whatever you guys want. And the poor people are floating out on mattresses and stuff. I mean, it's very, very opposite. And at one point, the mother says, because it was going to be an outside lawn thing, she goes, "That rain was a blessing. Like, we left the camp and now we're going to have this cool party. That rain was such a blessing." And you're looking at the other people who are all out of their homes, just completely oblivious as the people at the top of the hill, right? Let's see here. Dad's always reflecting on how fortunate they are. He's the one that ends up in the basement. I did have the sister as the smart one. I wrote down, "You can smell port people." Give me just a second. Look through. Oh, Crane's wing formation. This will be a visual thing, but I'll switch my background. I looked up Crane's wing formation, where Mom wanted the tables put in a certain way for some kind of thing. I'll put that in my background in a moment so you guys can see it.
Is it a sand crane by any chance?
I'm not a bird killer. That's an inside golf joke. That bird walked that off. Dan saw it. That bird walked it off.
It did live.
You almost killed me though.
That's true. You walk that off too.
About you, Mike.
Kevin saying to that girl, "Do I fit in here?" and looking out the window was kind of an interesting scene. I mean,
Yep.
he doesn't. He absolutely doesn't. And I don't know if that was a moment of clarity for him where he was like, I really don't fit in here because he's just about to take this big rock and go kill somebody in the basement. And he's also thinking about marrying her and somehow owning the house later on. So, I mean, he's kind of off. Couple of last things here. The when the Mr. Park and the dad who was going by Mr. Kim the driver are hiding behind the bushes to come ambush Jessica with the cake. Mr. Kim is about had it. And he's saying some stuff like isn't really what I want to do. In the first place, he says to Mr. Park, but you do this because you love your wife, right? And if anything, we see Mr. Kim and the mom as two people that actually are trying to do family stuff together and love each other. We see the old housekeeper and the creepy man downstairs, the ghost guy. They clearly love each other, but we don't really see anything about Mr. Park and Mrs. Park loving each other. And
We
it
did
comes
on
up
the
a
couch
couple of
when they were
times.
watching the sun.
Well, there's some
Yeah,
physical nipple swirling, but
that's more of a lustful thing. And when they're in the car, he even says like when he first asks him like, "Oh, you love her, right?" And he says, "Oh yeah, we'll call it love." Like
right,
it's clearly a lust based thing.
right. So there's a whole money buying happiness thing going on here, right? But he says, "Hey, I'm paying you extra for this. Think of this as your work." And it really comes across as I have money, I'm paying you, I own you, you will do what I want. Like it comes across as that, and I think that's a pretty powerful message in that. Um, and then right away they have I wrote down poor people killing each other. Kevin's after the guy with the rock. The guy fights back. They're in the kitchen killing each other, and people are singing opera and playing fancy instruments in the backyard. Is a pretty powerful message for what the director's trying to tell you. And then the smell. The guy being upset with the smell of the guy coming up from the basement while getting the keys is what sets off Mr. Kim with the knife to kill Mr. Park. And you see it, and you're just like, "This is it. He's had enough. He has had enough." So, for me, and lights flickering is the other thing I wrote down. Um, that's happening because of the guy in the basement. But every time you go back into the family's downstairs home, lights are flickering constantly. That's not controlled like it is in the Park's house, but it's happening the whole time. Just like Dan was talking about the stairs, going up the stairs and down the stairs. For me, I loved this the first time. I loved it again this time. Um, I enjoy the messages. I enjoy the metaphors. I enjoy the hidden things. Um,
Easter eggs.
absolutely. Just really love this movie. So I'm glad you picked it. I'm interested to hear how everybody else feels about it.
Tim, specifically, I got to push back a little bit. I don't know
All right.
why you've chose the sun to be the most critical of.
Yeah.
You've seemed to pick out the sun and really just, you've called him a putz. You don't think
Putz.
he belongs there. Just, really going at this son who I don't know why you're doing that. To me, I didn't see most of that stuff you were talking about.
Okay.
As him being a putz. Maybe a little naive, but especially the part where he was asking the girl, could you see me fitting in here? He was good enough. I mean, I'm assuming his English tutoring was going pretty well. I mean, she must have been doing okay as far as they knew. I mean, we don't know how long this goes, or how long he's had the job, but as far as working his sister in there, I thought he did some good things. And back to him asking her, because if you were to go back in time, did the mother belong there? I mean, referred to her as being simple, so what did she do to deserve to be there other than, did she meet Mr. Park young before he had, other options or whatever? So I didn't really take it as, I didn't take it as he didn't fit in there. I took it more of just an average person kind of dreaming, could this
Okay.
ever be my, something like this? Could I ever get this? But I also don't know, because this movie dealt heavily with it, the social class and the, not strict caste system, but I mean, definitely it seems hard to move up from the basement to the penthouse or whatever. But yeah, I don't know. I had to push back a little bit. I thought you were being a little overly critical about the son. I too, the pizza, like I blame the dad for most of it, and don't really blame him. Another theme of the movie, I thought, was you are where you are because of the decisions you make. Now, there's some things, there's extra hurdles and stuff like that. But I thought the dad continued to make the poor decisions, not that they were like, well, other than stabbing the guy, super bad. They were just like, they weren't doing the things you need to do to, pull yourself up to the next level, if it's even possible. But
And they went through the list, his wife, of his failed businesses. He had several that she listed off.
One of them he talked about was working at the place with the cakes before that business went up, and then the guy who was avoiding the sharks, the money sharks, loan sharks, said that my cake place went under. So you kind of have to take that the dad worked for the guy that was in the basement, which was pretty interesting.
I did catch that. So
well, Aaron, go ahead, keep going.
Okay.
You're up next.
I mean, you're gonna shit on the wheel, then you might as well just keep going.
He did hold up. I could actually.
I held up
a
the
piece of paper with my name
and it did have his name on it. So,
but I did plan to letting it bounce back to you and officially throw to me. So, thanks, Mike. This was my second viewing of the movie Parasite, and once again, it just happened last week or whatever. God, I liked it a lot better this time. I was not a big fan the first time. This was another one that I was like, oh no, I went back and I was not in the group, but I think I watched it in real life about the same time you guys watched it together.
Okay.
I don't know why I picked it. I think maybe there was hype around it. At the time, maybe it wasn't when it first came out, so I don't know.
It was the first foreign language movie to win Best Picture at the Oscar. So or foreign produced or something like that.
I want to say it was probably a year after that, though. When I mean, you guys didn't watch it right around Oscar time, right after it won. I mean, it had been out a while.
Right.
Yeah, I want to say it was fairly old. Maybe it did. I don't know. It got a push in commercials, or somebody was talking about it. Whatever. Something made me go seek it out around the same time you guys watched it. Which was months before I was in the group. And like I said, didn't really care for it. I would have probably gave it a D minus. Didn't really like it at all. This time, liked it a lot better. B, which I mean, that's a huge leap.
Yeah.
Didn't think it was great. There were a couple things that didn't work for me. But a lot of things made more sense this time. One thing I can't remember specifically right now. I'll think about it. I didn't write things down. I should. Okay. Tim is also displaying what the pattern the tables are supposed to be on.
Crane's wing formation.
Okay. But yeah, I really liked this time, understood more about or saw more about the cast levels, the lower levels, higher levels made way more sense this time. Totally picked up on it. Maybe the first time I just wasn't paying attention. The struggle the struggle the family was going through, and I kind of brought this up already, disjointedly talking to Tim. The struggle of the family trying to get ahead. I don't know if the director was trying to say it, because I think, especially I've seen Snowpiercer 2, and if his metaphor is, it's hard to, not metaphor, I keep saying that because Tim was saying it.
That poor
Well, Kevin said it first.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
In
making
Tim's
the point of
defense.
it. But just how hard it is to get to the next level, to get from lower class to middle class to higher class. But he almost keeps pitching it back to, well, the reason why is because they keep making bad decisions. They have these opportunities, they've taken these opportunities, and I would say anybody who's got anywhere in business, that dad, whatever he does, what was he? Was it something with toys or something like that, or electronics?
Architecture, was he?
Oh, I thought when he was in the office, he had like a product in his hand that he was talking to other guys about or whatever. For some reason, I thought it was a toy, but it might have been electronic. But either way, maybe it was architecture and it was a doorknob or whatever.
There was an architect who made the house who was in there before the Parks were in there. I
Right.
don't know if Mr.
Mhm.
Park was an architect.
Okay.
But it was some kind of electric device he had in his hand, like electronic,
Okay.
in the
But
meeting.
either way, somebody who's, I'm thinking, that successful, they've made some good decisions, but they've probably made some shitty decisions that help them out. You know what I mean? They've probably been shitty, not just to people who worked for them when they got there, but they've probably, cut a best friend out of a proposal, or, they've done some shitty things. Slept with a boss's daughter, got married to the right person, whatever. But they've made choices that have helped them to get ahead financially, where it almost seemed like the director was making a point of saying that these people aren't getting ahead because, I would say it was mostly the dad, would screw up and either say something or do something that would get them set back. I don't know. That's just how I saw it. I really liked one thing. I really liked, and I noticed this time was, and I even went on Google Earth to try to find some houses in South Korea just to see. I really liked how their house, obviously it was, the population density was high, maybe, so they didn't have much room for their house right off the road. But as little as their backyard was, which was pretty good size, from assuming a city that big, how they had it surrounded in the hedges almost made it seem like it was, like they had sprawling acreage. And it's like, what was just on the other side of those hedges? I'm sure it was just a yard that looked just like theirs, but eventually you'd get to the last yard like that. And then, what happens? Does it go to squalor? Does it go to just undeveloped, stuff? So I found that interesting. The husband that lived in the basement, I didn't catch the first time that he was. I thought they were just hiding him there because they were like homeless. I didn't realize he was hiding from people he owed money to. So that helped make a lot more sense out of what was going on there. Obviously he was losing his mind just being down there, turning the lights on and off with his forehead. Was that only when he was tied up? He was doing it by hand when the dad was doing before that.
Yeah.
Yes.
But he had to have been part crazy, because how long did they say he was down there? A couple of years,
4
right?
years.
4 years.
Over 4 years. Yeah.
So he had to be losing his mind. I thought the daughter was the best of the family as far as having her shit together. Other than it took a weird turn because she was very, I saw her as being very capable, ahead of her years, whatever you want to call it, right up until there was when the family got home from the camping trip early, or it was during the party. But it's almost like she changed into a little girl, like for a scene. She got like real scared and real like, what are we gonna do? Or something like that. And to me, that was just an odd little switch because she had been, like I said, the most capable up until that point. And maybe it was maybe they did it on purpose, because she was about to die. But I liked her character. I thought I liked the son. I thought the mother was fantastic. For being, I want to shy away from calling them awful, because I don't think they were awful. I think they were just regular people right up until the murders. You know, just trying to get things done, you know. I think it was bad that, you know, he didn't have an English degree and he was tutoring English. No, it happens all the time. There's people in, you know, in schools, in principals and stuff that don't have teaching degrees because they lied about it and nobody ever checked. You know, it comes up every few years that, you know, some superintendent who they thought had a teaching degree, like, never did. So I don't think that's the most terrible thing in the world. The age difference between him and, you know, kissing the girl, obviously that's inappropriate. But anyway, I didn't think the boy was terrible. I didn't think he was a terrible person. I didn't think the girl was a terrible person. I didn't even think the dad was a terrible person. I thought he was bad at being a dad, and trying to, you know, do what he could financially other than just hustle part-time jobs. But I don't know what it's like trying to get a job in South Korea either. So maybe that's how it is.
Well, he makes a comment at one point where, you know, once they all get their jobs and they're toasting, it's like, hey, if we combine our salaries, it'll be a lot. Like, this will be great. And he makes the comment that's like, you know, in an era where 500 people apply for a security guard spot, all four, like our entire family got jobs.
Right.
So it sounds they were setting it up like it's really hard to get a job for even something like a security guard.
Even if you are motivated and trying and all of that.
Right.
Even though they didn't portray them necessarily that way. Yes.
Right. And I think that's what the pizza box job was all about. You know, they did get an opportunity, and one of them, whether it was the dad or the, you know, son, screwed it up. And like I said, I don't know if that was a major a theme that he was going for, was like, you know, a lot of times people don't get ahead because they do get an opportunity and screw it up by drinking all the alcohol in the living room as soon as they, you know, the employers take off for, you know, a weekend or whatever. It's like, don't do that. You know, just don't do that.
Right.
Go ahead and have a meal at the table, eat some of their food, drink a, you know, whatever, maybe get a sleep in a comfortable bed, but make sure you make it and clean it and wash everything, you know, go above and beyond, you know.
Don't break the bottles for fun.
Right.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I didn't really see anybody as terrible people. I saw a lot of people as, not tools of their circumstance, but just, you know, of their circumstance. What's ever happened in their lives got them to where they are. Some of it was on merit, some of it probably not, but obviously the daughter slipping off her panties to get the driver fired, knowing that would happen to get her dad the job, that was probably, well, other than, you know, the peach stuff, that was pretty diabolical too. So,
and the murders.
But just trying to do what they could do to get the job, you know. I was really worried the first time I watched it that it was going to kill the lady. So when it didn't kill her, I was like, wow, that wasn't that bad, you know. But
and they justified it too by the cab driver, you know, the chauffeur is like, well, he probably got another job. He's fine.
Which, you know, from what Mike was just saying, he probably didn't, since it's so hard to get a job. And if that rumor's following him around of what he did. So I don't know. Some of the other scenes that I thought was, you know, funny or different or disturbing was you know, she was handling the backseat panties with like dish gloves on, and, you know, had to put it in a bag and put that bag in the bag, and, you know, it's like, it's not radioactive. I mean,
right.
A pair of underwear.
Oh, then did you see she put her hands on her face?
Yeah, he says drugs, and she's like,
right. So I don't know. I liked it a lot better this time. I'm glad I watched it a second time. So I think there's a lot more movies that maybe I didn't like the first time and that I should give a second chance to, because this is like 2 for 2 in the last couple weeks.
That's the next list. Movies Aaron didn't like.
We're not doing that.
Yeah, there was this doesn't really have anything to do with anything, I guess. But I guess on just the subject of the dad making poor decisions, you know, they had their drawn out plan to make it look like the former housekeeper had the TB and like was coughing up blood or whatever, and he like pulls it out with his bare hand. And I remember thinking like, oh, being in healthcare, I just like, I don't know if I'd be even anywhere in this house right now. But then even the mom who like the Mrs. Park, who is very oblivious to a lot of things, even she's like, hey, did you wash your hands? And he's kind of like, like, you know,
Well, I mean, they were during the flood, they were trudging through. They made the comment that it was sewage,
Yep.
yeah,
and they're, I mean, obviously, because they're so low that other places are bad, their toilets burping up sewage,
right,
and they're just trying to hold the lid down, to lessen it. But, it's terrible.
yeah. So quick question before we move on to Brian here, and this is for everybody. Did anybody feel a little sorry for any members of the Park family?
Maybe a little bit for the son, because he was a little traumatized by the ghost that he saw. So you can understand why he's a little messed up.
Yeah.
I
did
think
think
that's
that
some of the beauty of the film. Like you do feel sorry for them, and then there's something where you're like, oh wait, they make poor choices or they do poor, bad things or what. Like, yeah, I mean, a lot of times I felt sorry for some of the circumstance, and like that was that ebb and flow of, is it circumstance or is it choice?
Right. Yeah, this movie did do a very nice job of like kind of switching the perspective up a little bit and making you ask that question. Yeah,
When they
Dan, I hadn't even
recreated,
thought of the son, of like the kid. Of course, he's kind of the most innocent in all of this because he's just a kid. I did feel a little sorry for Mrs. Park, not necessarily. It's like she's got a good life and she's very oblivious and everything. But just the fact that she keeps on getting deceived and like she's just going along and she's being so trusting and they just keep taking advantage of her. I'm just like, oh, like I just felt a little bad for her. Not, she's doing okay, but it was just the fact that I felt a little sorry for her, I found kind of interesting as I was watching this. I was like, huh, I wonder what, but it's yeah, anyway. All right, our
hang
last,
on, Mike. When they recreated that scene of the guy coming up the stairs that traumatized the kid originally, I thought that was great. I mean, it would have scared the shit out of anybody, especially the way they shot it and lit it, with those white eyes. It was almost like
yeah,
from, a horror movie. But then for the kid, they had to show us that. So when the kid saw him again and 100% recognized who it was in his backyard, and he goes into a seizure again because he's so terrified. So I thought that was one of my favorite scenes.
yeah. All right, so
Hang on. While we're on that scene, the Mr. Park expecting the dad, Mr. Kim, like, what are you doing? While Jessica's got a knife stuck in her, chest, or he's holding it down, the knife's out, and he's compressing. He's like, no, but my kid's having a seizure. We have to go to the hospital. We can ignore the rest of this. These are people we pay, right? He's kind of got a little bit of that going on, but also in that moment, there's kind of a duality of dad stuff going on. There's Mr. Park going, we have to take care of my son who's in a medical emergency, and there's Mr. Kim who's holding his daughter who's in a medical emergency that's worse. And there's this, what are you doing? Give me the car keys. And what I like about that scene is the dad doesn't say no. He throws the car keys. They just get deflected in the middle of another struggle in the whole thing. And it isn't until he realizes that the guy, Mr. Park, like reacts to the smell of the guy from the basement. That's what sets him off. But there's a moment where there's two dads taking care of their kids in medical emergencies, and it's even ground until it's not, and I think that's a cool moment in that movie.
I like what you said earlier about the relationships too, of like the basement, basement guy and the former housekeeper, and then like the mom and dad that live in the sub basement, and not so much Mr. and Mrs. Park. That was good. All right, last piece of paper. Says Brian.
I'm gonna guess that says Brian.
It does say Brian. Brian Larson, take us home.
Second time seeing the movie. I'm angry about it because I planned on never watching this movie again. The good news is, Mike, I was just mad at Tim because he picked it the first time. So it's not really your fault. You just saw a movie. They figured, hey, let's pick this one. I didn't see it. It's not your fault. It's
So
Tim's
it's
fault. It's on
both
the
times.
list.
I'll take it.
I kind of wish Hilty was here for the knowledge part of this. Is it possible that the American subtitles weren't actually what they were saying in Korean? Did they try to Americanize it? Because they were mentioning the art student. What, Dan, did you shake your head no, like you speak Korean and or I kind of saw a head shake there.
No, you are incorrect with that statement.
Okay. I'm gonna okay.
Wow.
Is your Korean up to date? You watch a lot of MASH and know it, or
Well, if Hilty would have said it, would you just have believed him?
yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
No, I gave a little look of wonder.
MASH is the bar.
Yeah. I gave a little look of wonder, like I who knows?
Well, because we actually mentioned it when you went with Native American to be politically correct, but they said Indian,
Right.
and the Made in USA, and they were talking about the girl being a student at Southern Illinois University for art and
Illinois State.
or Illinois State. Sorry,
That's where my dad and my sister both went.
oh, are they art majors?
I got a little kick out of that watching this. Anyway,
Nikki as well.
nice.
Keep going, Brian. You're doing great.
It's all circular. Wow.
My second cousin's daughter went there too.
And
Her name's Stacy.
bring up Boy Scouts. Are these all things that
Right.
that they were saying in Korean that weren't really, going along with the subtitles? So,
Well, I don't think you can
Brian,
get around
like-
the Native American thing because it was a TP and he was shooting arrows everywhere and they were wearing headdresses.
But sophomore is a word that might not be used in
Right.
Korea, though. Like there's some things that were probably
And
a
the
little-
Boy Scouts or Cub Scouts, there was a piece of paper that had the heading on it. That was the Cub Scout logo. So
okay.
it was just a thought, throwing it out there. I
bet
Could be right.
No, I bet sophomore isn't a word that's used there. I bet that was Americanized, for sure.
So, but yeah, I did pick up on some more things of the movie. And Tim, you were talking about some of the metaphor things and some of the stuff that I picked up a little better this time. But still, yeah, last week was watched something the second time and thought better of it. This one, still no, it just didn't do it for me. So, I don't want to point out everything that bugged me or anything like that. Just say, yeah, we watched it twice, and Aaron, it's your pick.
Yeah,
Wait,
I
I don't know. You get to say that, Brian.
Brian, that's the point of having a group here and having a discussion, though. I mean, it's
No, we did.
If everybody else enjoyed it, so like, why didn't you? I'm interested to hear.
I
I'm not
just,
gonna be mad at you.
I no.
Were
Melo,
you rooting for anybody?
the ending.
All right,
I was-
fair enough.
I would just who would you root for? It just they were.
I don't know.
I mean,
That's what I'm
obviously the
asking.
term parasite. So they're meaning the family is a bunch of parasites. The old housemaid or whatever she was, she hid her husband in there, and she was not stealing supposedly because she said she paid with her own money to bring the food down, and then sticks a baby bottle. I thought the guy was handicapped of some sort. That's why she's feeding him with a bottle. But he's just a piece of shit who got a loan from a loan shark. So it's who do you root for? And then I thought, like the mom, Mrs. Park, was she drunk all the time? Because she's trying to wake her up, madam, madam. She's passed out on a table in the
Yeah.
backyard.
Yeah.
So what was going on with her?
Wow. I never even thought
I
of
mean,
that.
it was just a
She
lot
liked
of things.
wine.
It was like
She liked wine
there
a
were-
lot. She bought a lot of
Yeah.
wine for that party. Brian, is it just asking a question here? So there's a whole bunch of people and characters in here who are not of material wealth, who are broke. Is it just that you're like, why the fuck are you trying to run a con? Why not just get a job? Like, is it a little bit like I don't relate to what you guys are fucking doing here?
No, I understand the con job. I mean, anyway, I'm not incriminating myself on your podcast.
Sorry, I brought that up. I
Um,
remember an incident with the mail.
But
Any events mentioned in the BTB movie podcast.
Yeah.
They're fictionalized, fictionalized.
but
incidents.
no, it was just it's like the people who are doing wrong. It's like and Aaron, the reason I'm shaking my head, no, it's like 19 kissing 16, well, whatever. No, it's not whatever. It's wrong.
Okay.
You kept saying whatever, like it's not a big deal.
Well, I mean,
it's
19
wrong.
kissing 16, I mean, isn't.
It
Now, if he
happens
would
a
have had
lot.
sex with her, it would be. But
Yeah,
I mean,
it happens.
it's not
a lot.
statutory
Okay.
kissing, Brian.
Now, let's go back where we're talking about Eyes Wide Shut, and Brian stating things like, and yes, I went third person there. The guy really knew anything wrong.
You've been waiting
And-
for weeks for this. This is great.
And all of a sudden, it's not wrong when the 1916 it's just kissing. But Brian's, oh, hey, did he really do anything wrong? The girl tried to kiss him, and it's like, yes, he did it wrong. Oh, okay, so now
Brian,
in Parasite, because it's in Korean, it's fine. I don't know.
Ask Dan. Dan speaks Korean. Brian just played a card he's been hanging on to for quite some time, and good for you, Brian.
Yeah,
Man,
Yeah.
if we ever
sober
actually
Brian
started-
remembers.
See, because I don't remember what you're talking about. I have no idea.
Yeah, because drunk Aaron forgets.
if we ever actually get people to listen to this outside of just a few, we're gonna lose everybody at this episode.
I
Or
don't think
gain
so.
them.
I think they're listening for a reason.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
So I've said my piece.
Fair enough.
So Mike, if you pick this as the rewatch, then we all need to hear from you. Normally we finish this as we pick it and we just kind of summarize it and go, all right, that's enough. But what were your thoughts on this movie? How did you enjoy it? What were your highlights? What was good or bad about this for you?
I enjoyed the ride it took me on. I found myself asking myself literally, like, I didn't necessarily pick up on, obviously I knew there were themes of like, class struggles and kind of the wealth and all that, but seeing that, the family was working this con job on the parks, I was like, oh, this kind of wasn't what I was expecting going into this. Because I didn't know anything else about it really. So I kind of found myself just like, all right, what's gonna happen? Like it wasn't like I saw like a conclusion or a goal or anything like that. Like, all right, they're all gonna try and get jobs, and then they all four of them get the jobs. And I didn't as that part was happening, I didn't see anything I don't know, I was just short-sighted or something as I was watching it, but I was like, I don't know what happens after that. Like, okay, they got the jobs and they're pulling it off. Okay, and everybody seems happy. And I'm not complaining about it. It was a lot of fun watching that whole process and just seeing the way, that the elaborate ways they kind of got in the door, and kind of feeling bad for the people that they're screwing over and screwing out of the jobs. But like, just it was a fun ride. And I just remember thinking, like, I have no idea what's gonna happen, but so far this has been fun. But a couple of you guys have mentioned how it's like you can split this into a couple of parts, and I really feel like once they finally get everything that they're trying to get to, um, all four of them have jobs and they're in the house as the parks they're leaving on the camping trip, and they just get cocky. They're like, hey, we did it. We don't have to be careful anymore. And that's immediately when everything starts going downhill. I mean, you start to see, some of the cruelty. And I like the fact that Aaron says, like, hey, these are all people. It's not like, oh, good guys and bad guys necessarily in this. There are a lot of different views. But, everybody kind of has strengths and weaknesses. And like, like the mom, you see the weakness when like the dog comes over and she kind of just shoves the dog out of the way. It's like, oh yeah, she's kind of careless. And yeah, maybe like Kevin is like pretty smart, but maybe not as smart as he needs to be. And he does keep on kind of. I did kind of notice that, like he did screw a lot of things up. I didn't think it was all his fault. But yeah, he made a lot of mistakes, and so did the dad. And I did enjoy the dark humor in this too. I really enjoyed, like, somebody mentioned it earlier when Jessica's like, how could you read this little girl's diary? Like, how awful of a human being are you, as she's taking the diary and opens it up and reads it? I just thought that was hilarious. There were a lot of different moments that just made me chuckle. And I think my favorite one was probably the, like, oh, it's a self-portrait, or oh, it's a chimpanzee. Yeah, it's a self-portrait. Just like,
Very metaphorical.
That's great. And somehow, I think this says more about Mrs. Park than it does Kevin, but like somehow Mrs. Park just kind of lets it slide and doesn't take it as an offense, really. It's just like, oh yeah, it's chimpanzee. Oh, self-portrait. Oh yeah, I mean, whatever he says, he's just like, yeah, because she's so desperate for him to be this artistic genius. And oh man. And then like when they're all hiding under the table, the three of them are hiding under the table, and Mr. and Mrs. Park start fooling around on the couch. It's just like, oh God. Like, of course, like as if it can't get worse. They're hiding, like, oh, hopefully maybe they'll go to bed and we can escape. Oh nope, they're staying around. They're gonna watch the kid. It's like, oh geez, now we have to wait for him to fall asleep. And then instead of trying to fall asleep, they start doing that. They're like, no, now we have to hear this. Yeah, I really enjoyed this. I'm glad we watched it. The ending did throw me off. It did. Melo said it earlier. It felt like it was a deviation. They had everything. They're just kind of telling the story along the way, and then after the chaos, suddenly, there was never a narrator until this point, and then suddenly there's a narrator. And I know it's like reading the letter or whatever, but they have two versions of that, of like the dad reading the letter and then Kevin reading the letter, and like, oh, is this actually happening, or is Kevin just paralyzed and can't
see that came up a lot, and that never crossed my mind. So is the dad in the basement? Does everybody agree? Like, yes, I think the dad was in the basement.
I think so.
And I think his letter is a reliable narrator, and I think Kevin is not a reliable narrator.
So do you think? All right. So was the dad using Morse code on the light switch, hoping somebody would see it?
I think so. I don't know if Kevin was seeing it though.
Do you think Kevin ever sat on the hill and saw it?
That I don't know.
God, yes, because that never crossed my mind. I thought the ending was fantasy. I'm gonna get enough money. He's still in the basement. He's fantasizing. It's not foreshadowing. It's not showing us in the future. But like, it never crossed my mind that like he went from the hospital bed to a wheelchair where he's drooling into a bedpan. And that's his life. And none of that, or he died, never made it out of the surgery. Or something like that. I was like, That never crossed my mind. I like the idea of it. You know, it made me think.
Yeah, I said it earlier. As soon as they showed the pool of blood and the rock there, I'm like, oh yeah, he's dead. Like it's this. Okay, he's very clearly dead. And then the fact that like, oh, somehow he survived, I was kind of like, I didn't know if I really bought that. I mean, I know you don't see him get hit, which is probably a good thing.
Second time you do.
Well, you do the second
Yeah.
time when he chucks it down
Yeah.
at him. It catches,
Oh,
like, just catches the crown. It doesn't.
So
like,
are you
snap.
saying the volume of blood on the floor necessitates that he died?
kind of.
Yes.
Shut up, nerd.
But well, it's not even that it's like, oh, it's this much versus this much. You just look at the scene, you're like, oh,
Yeah.
he's dead. Like that just.
I hadn't seen that much blood since Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey.
That, yeah.
Wow.
We made it this far.
Oh, come on. We got the
I
Easter
don't even-
egg. We got
Yeah.
Shut up, nerd.
Yeah.
Nicely done.
Checking boxes.
But yeah, I assumed he was dead, and I thought that when the daughter's like carrying him away, you know, backpack style, I thought it was just his carcass. I still thought he was dead
Good work.
until suddenly it was like, oh, and then they're getting charged, and he had the brain surgery, and I was like, oh, he lived. Okay, I didn't necessarily buy it, but I was like, all right, fine. You know, I
Her
do
love,
think
her love kept him alive.
Sure, yeah, that inappropriate love of that we've been discussing.
Whatever.
So I think if I were to get, I mean, Aaron's right. I think for sure the scene of him buying the house and the father finally coming up and giving him a big hug and everything, that's fantasy for sure. I guess the rest of it is kind of open to interpretation. I don't know if he ever actually gets onto the snowy hill or not. I don't know if he even makes it or not. But yeah, that the ending was just it was just strange, and I think took away from it for me a little bit. I was actually kind of expecting it just to end with the chaos at the party and just a bunch of people dying, and then there was more after that. So that was probably my one knock against it. But I did enjoy it, and Brian, I'm not saying this to make fun of you. I enjoy the fact that you didn't like it, because it's just, this is an Oscar-winning movie, but it's interesting to see different perspectives for me. Like, okay, well, there's a reason you didn't like this, and so I don't know. I enjoyed it a lot, and I'm glad that I didn't pick a movie that everyone universally hated that I loved from my teenage years, like Night at the Roxbury.
We knew what you were talking about.
Yeah.
You listened to a podcast recently.
Dan, were you, did you know it's a podcast by any chance, Dan? No, still? Okay.
What's a podcast?
Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter.
Your monitor's not even on.
Yeah,
is it?
that's my last. I guess that's my last. Does anybody else have anything they wanted to add or ask?
I had one final comment that I didn't say. I should have said earlier. My thought, and I would rewatch this with Aaron's take that the dad is sort of more at fault about the decisions from the family than the son being a putz. I like the two takes on that. The sister, Jessica, is, I think we can all kind of agree, talented. If nothing else, she's talented, right? I used the word genius, which was probably a little strong early. But what's interesting about her character, she doesn't fucking care about anybody's rules. Like, she's smoking in the internet cafe, and they're like, you have to put that out. And she's like, oh, yeah, give me this. And then she starts using it as an ashtray. And you brought this up, Mike. You fucking loser. Don't read her diary. Give me the diary. I'm going to start reading it. And like everything that she does, it's very clear. Her entire purpose in life is to get around rules and do whatever she wants. She could not fucking care about rules. And I think
the first meeting with the son, and the mom wanted to stay in the room.
Oh,
she
yeah.
told her no, get out.
No. Boy, and I would love to see what that interaction was like, because the kid comes out like an angel out of that.
Right.
He's
And it's like,
bowing
what the
and-
fuck happened? I feel like she threatened that kid on a level that, like, she immediately understood how to get to that kid and threaten him. And like, he was like,
More
yep,
incentivized.
I'm not gonna fuck around with this person here. But you don't get to know that. And I love that about this movie. All of a sudden, that kid's just like, yep, I love my new art teacher. Let me go sit in this chair and behave real polite. But I just think it's really interesting that she doesn't care about rules. And the mom is another interesting character, because you don't get to know much about her, except that she says stuff like, the dude brings the rock and she's like, well, food would have been better, you know?
Yeah.
And I mean, she takes advantage with the rest of the family, but she's also got a different sort of take. So they definitely, all four of them have different approaches to the lifestyle.
It looked like she was like an Olympic like thrower of some kind, wasn't she?
Yeah. And you guys heard
Yeah,
the
sure.
glass break when she throws the thing, right?
Yes.
Which is great. That, I mean, it sums the family up. We were just giggling that we threw a thing and it broke somebody's rich,
Yeah.
insurance. It's taken care of. That crosses
Yeah.
the line. We didn't say cross the line. Mr. Park
Oh,
doesn't
right.
like when people
Yeah.
cross the line.
Yeah, well, we had a big debate as to whether or not Kevin and the daughter crossed the line for a while. So I feel like we said it without saying it.
Yeah, that's
Um,
true. Whatever.
Melo, you're right. Yeah, I don't know. I don't have anything else. That's Parasite.
All right. We are at Aaron's pick. Aaron's doing a rewatch, and he looks like he's got a loaded gun here. So, Aaron, what's your rewatch?
No, I mean, you probably could have guessed it. I tried to pick it before, but it had been a watch that I didn't know was a watch. So we're gonna watch
Oh.
Annie Hall.
Annie Hall.
I've never seen it, and it has very good numbers.
It does have very good numbers.
La-di-da. La-di-da.
And didn't
Is that a reference to the movie, Melo?
it does?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
I've never seen
good
it. I'm
one.
assuming everybody else has seen it.
Because we watched
there
it
will
in
be
the-
two people
Maybe
here.
not Mike. Maybe not
He'll,
Mike,
he'll
and
Teague
then other
probably
Mike,
put in that
He's
category.
probably
He's
seen
watched
it
it.
on his own.
Yeah.
So he's probably written
Yes.
a paper on it.
He has watched everything twice.
That will do it for today's episode of the BTB Movie Club podcast. Thank you, as always, for listening. We know we enjoyed ourselves. We hope you did too. Have yourselves a great week. We are partnered with the SBDM Crew Podcasting Network.